The rhythmic thump-thump of a loose exhaust pipe was the only sound on the deserted desert highway until the howl of Officer Rexford's siren tore through the silence. Without a word of warning, he forcefully yanked 72-year-old Pearl from her immaculate 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air, slamming her against a gleaming chrome bumper. "I don't care about your sentimental junk. Old woman, this vehicle is unstable, and I'm impounding it." Rexford's voice was a jagged spike of unchecked ego. Pearl, a woman of dark complexion whose eyes held the steel of 1,000 battles, didn't flinch. She looked into the officer's eyes with chilling, regal stillness. "Officer Rexford, you didn't just assault a driver. You just interfered with a classified escort." High-frequency whine of incoming rotary blades, barely audible above the wind, signaled the end of Rexford's career. The desert highway shimmered under midday sun. The turquoise and white 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air, a shimmering mirage against the stark landscape. Pearl, 72, sat behind the wheel, her hand steady on the thin, chrome-trimmed steering wheel. This car wasn't just a vintage machine. It was a heartbeat of a family forged in fire, meticulously maintained by her late husband. Today, she was driving to a remote military base, where her 4 children, all high-ranking special operations commanders, were awaiting her for their quarterly family dinner, a tradition she cherished. Pearl was a woman of quiet, overwhelming authority. She had raised 4 legendary warriors, teaching them that true strength lay in protecting the vulnerable. But to Officer Rexford, a highway patrolman who patrolled the desolate stretches of road like a self-appointed king, Pearl was just an easy target of dark complexion in an unroadworthy antique, an excuse to harass and control. "License and registration," Rexford barked, his shadow falling over the Bel Air's pristine dashboard. "Your vehicle's exhaust system is loose. I'm giving you a citation for reckless endangerment and impounding this rust bucket." "Officer, the exhaust system was custom fabricated. It vibrates at a specific frequency to cool the undercarriage," Pearl replied, her voice a steady, disciplined baritone. "I suggest you verify your data before making assumptions about specialized equipment." Rexford laughed, a dry, mocking sound. "I don't need a lecture from someone who should be riding a bus. In this jurisdiction, my word is the only data that matters. Now, step out of the vehicle before I decide to add obstruction to your list of violations." Pearl moved to reach for her official military clearance, a document bearing the highest security classifications. But Rexford wanted a display of absolute dominance. The officer reached to the open window and forcefully gripped Pearl's arm, yanking the door open and pulling her onto the scorching asphalt. The physical violation was shocking. Rexford slammed Pearl against the Bel Air's chrome fender, his heavy hand pressing firmly against her shoulder, crushing her simple but elegant dress against the hot metal. "I said move," Rexford hissed, his face contorted in a sneer. "You think because you drive some relic you're above the law? You're a scofflaw. You're old. And right now, you're learning what happens when you don't show me proper respect." Pearl suffered the physical contact with a stoic, terrifying dignity. She felt the burning heat of the desert rode through her thin shoes. "Officer Rexford, you're currently committing a physical assault on a protected civilian. I suggest you remove your hand before the Class Alpha distress beacon in this vehicle alerts a very specific unit that I am being harmed." Rexford didn't listen. He ratcheted the pressure on Pearl's arm, shoving her toward the back of his patrol car. "That beacon is your imagination. I am the only authority you need to worry about." He forcefully shoved Pearl toward the dusty shoulder, nearly causing her to lose her footing and fall into thorny desert brush. The tension on the desolate highway was suffocating. Rexford's partner, Officer Jenkins, stared at his own tactical radio, his face turning a ghostly shade of white as an encrypted code red. VIP intercept alert overrode their local channel, pulsing with coordinates directly on their location. Rexford stopped. "We just got a code red. It's a full-spectrum military response. They're converging on us," Jenkins whispered, his voice trembling. "Not now, Jenkins. I'm teaching this old woman a lesson." Rexford lied, his arrogance forcing him to double down as he reached for his handcuffs, fully intending to arrest Pearl. A lone drone, a military-grade reconnaissance unit, appeared from behind a distant mesa, hovering silently, its camera lens fixed on the scene. Rexford turned toward the drone, pointing his finger aggressively. "Get that toy out of here." I'm in charge of this airspace. Rexford's refusal to listen to anyone, high or low status, created a pressure cooker of total professional immolation. Pearl, standing by the patrol car with her head held high, looked at the faint, dark shapes emerging from the canyons. Officer Rexford, those aren't toys. They are my children, and they do not appreciate people putting their hands on their mother. Rexford just mocked her. What are they? Some kind of survivalist cult? I'm the law here. The suspense reached a fever pitch as the ground began to shake. It wasn't an earthquake. It was a low rumble of 4 stealth Black Hawk helicopters, painted in desert camouflage, descending in a tactical formation directly onto the highway, kicking up a blinding cloud of dust. The military, they're landing right here. Jenkins screamed, throwing his hands up. Rexford let her go. Now! The flow shifted from a petty traffic stop to a full-blown military operation. Rexford panicked. He tried to draw his weapon, but the sight of over 30 heavily armed special operations soldiers fast roping onto the asphalt from the hovering helicopters caused him to freeze. His authority was a whisper against the roar of tactical might now surrounding him. Pearl didn't move. She just calmly adjusted her dress. The truth reveal is coming. Officer, I hope you prepared a very good explanation for 4 commanders who lead the free world. Just before the shocking reveal, we want to take a quick moment to thank you for your support, love, and kindness. We wouldn't have come this far without you. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue to bring you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. For figures in full combat uniform, each bearing the insignia of a colonel or general, their faces hardened by years of covert operations, stepped onto the highway. They didn't use force. They used the absolute weight of their presence. They walked past the stunned Officer Rexford as if he were invisible, heading straight for the woman he had pinned against the car. Officer Rexford, the eldest son, a Marine colonel, said, his voice a gravelly, razor-sharp blade of authority, I am Colonel Vance. This woman is our mother, and you just initiated a level 5 tactical response for a taillight. He turned his gaze to the ranking state trooper, who had just arrived by frantic convoy. Commander, Colonel Vance said quietly, Officer Rexford is under military detention for the assault of a high-value, protected asset. Please assist him in removing his badge. He is no longer a part of the civil service. The silence on the desert highway was so thick it felt heavy. Officer Rexford stood frozen, his hand still clutching the ticket book he had intended for Pearl. He watched as 4 of the most lethal and respected commanders in the U.S. military formed a protective circle around the 72-year-old woman he had just shoved. The old woman he had mocked was now revealed to be the matriarch of special operations, a woman whose children ran covert missions the world over. Rexford, you spent so much time looking at Pearl's age and antique car that you forgot she's the reason we exist, Colonel Vance said, his voice a low, dangerous rumble. I didn't just receive an alert. I watched you assault my mother via the 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air's encrypted satellite uplink. This car is a rolling command post, and you just violated every protocol we have. The power shift was absolute. The unsafe driver was revealed to be a national treasure. The state police commander handed Pearl a bottle of water, realizing that Officer Rexford had just handed his department a catastrophic international incident. The truth revealed was a public execution of Rexford's career. He had triggered his own downfall by choosing to bully a woman who had raised heroes. Commanders! Ma'am, I didn't know. It was a routine traffic stop. She was being uncooperative. Rexford pleaded, his voice cracking as he saw the elite soldiers pointing their rifles at him, their faces grim. We just did check the cooperation, Rexford, Pearl replied, her voice a calm, sharp blade. And the only person being uncooperative with the law tonight was you. You told me you were the only authority here. Well, your authority just expired. Colonel Vance signaled to the military police, men who would take orders only from their commanders. Gentlemen, Colonel Vance said, Officer Rexford is no longer fit for public service. please remove his badge and his sidearm. Specifically, before the news choppers on the horizon get a clear shot of a bully in handcuffs. He is a disgrace to that uniform. In front of his partner Jenkins and the entire Special Operations contingent, Rexford was forced to stand as his badge was literally ripped from his shirt. He was escorted off his own highway, walking past the rows of elite soldiers he had once mocked. The public shaming was total. By the time the helicopters took off, Rexford was being booked into a federal holding facility with no chance of bail. Pearl didn't miss her family dinner. In fact, she arrived in a convoy of 4 Black Hawks, with her 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air being carefully airlifted to the base. She used the settlement from the lawsuit to start a foundation for elderly victims of police bias, ensuring that no one would ever be subjected to such humiliation again because of their age or their perceived status. The moral resolution saw the Highway Patrol Department undergo a total restructuring. Pearl became a symbol of ancient wisdom that guards a nation, one built on respect and fierce protection rather than arrogance and control. Officer Rexford, once the king of the road, was relegated to a footnote in federal history, a man who lost everything because he couldn't control his bias against a 72-year-old woman who had given the world more than he ever could. Never mistake a person's quiet dignity for weakness. When you treat the elderly or those you perceive as lesser with disrespect, you are gambling against a profound legacy and a formidable family you cannot see. Power is a temporary badge, but respect is a legacy that lasts forever. The person you push today might be the one whose children defend the very freedoms you claim to uphold.